All right, Nails here in London with radio futurologist James Cridland, the man behind Next Radio, the conference, media.info as well?
Media.info,
as well?
podnews.net.
I mean, you're always on media.info. Who isn't? Every day you're looking for jobs on media.info. This is the guy who runs the thing. But we're here because the Next Radio conference was on in London, run by yourself and Matt Deegan. But as a futurologist, I've got to ask the obvious question. What's the future? Is it good?
What's the future?
Are we okay?
Who knows what the future is? No, I mean, I think the future of radio is a good future. In terms of the way that people are consuming radio, that will change. I suspect there'll be less live stuff and more nicely produced on-demand stuff. But actually, still 9 out of 10 of us tune into radio in almost every country in the world, and I think that's a wonderful thing.
And you travel the world literally talking about this. Different parts of the world got different perspectives on how it's working. Is it working better anywhere than anywhere else? I mean, where are you finding the positive angles?
Yeah, I mean, I think with the exception of the US, I think radio is in a tremendous state. I think when you look at the US, then radio isn't doing so well. But I think that's not necessarily because of radio. I think it's because of the companies that are running radio there, because they're in so much debt they can't actually afford any excellent talent, and you're a man that knows all about talent. So I think from that point of view, whether you look into Australia, whether you look into places in Europe, in the UK, and so on, I think that radio is doing tremendously well. It's doing well in terms of a business as well as doing well in terms of people tuning into it.
And Australia, you live in Australia.
I do indeed.
Program directors, many of them from Australia over the years.
Haven't we all?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I've always loved there's no fear. The impression is there was never any fear. Let's just do it. Let's just try this. Most of the great promotions from The Fugitive on have come from Australia.
Yes.
Is that coincidence? Is that a coincidence, or is that the culture down there? Do they just have a different outlook than we would in UK or Ireland?
I think the thing that really surprised me, and I should probably have known this, but the thing that really surprised me when I moved down there is how old commercial radio is there.
Okay.
So the ABC only has a 21% market share. So the ABC, in comparison, is very small in comparison to the BBC here, for example, in the UK. And commercial radio has been running since the 1920s.
Wow.
They all use, wonderful old-fashioned call signs.
Yeah.
There is genuinely a radio station called 2BO, which is...
Not Tubo?
Yeah.
What do you got, Tubo? Oh, it's Tubo.
So it's a very it's a very strange thing, and you forget, of course, that Australia is quite small in terms of the amount of people, 25 million, but quite big in terms of space. So just like Canada, lots of different time zones, lots of different cultures, and somebody from Melbourne is very different to somebody from Queensland or from the Northern Territory. So actually,
especially the Northern Territory,
it's a tremendous. Well,
I'm only saying. I don't know. I'm only saying.
It's a tremendous. Place with lots of different melting pots and lots of different cultures and everything else.
So radio means something different down there as well. In a way, maybe people receive radio differently.
Yeah, I mean, I think that radio is just as popular, if not more so, actually, in Australia than it is in the UK, at least. And I think it's nice seeing that. But also, on the other side, radio has been run very well in Australia in terms of the owners are, tremendously profitable. They're very good at understanding what makes good radio, what makes, good local radio.
Yeah.
Lots of networking, as ever.
Sure.
Lots of
Hamish and Andy on every day, everywhere.
Hamish and Andy, well, until the end of this year. Yeah, okay. It's they're doing their last shows, I think, in November or so. So who knows what's going to happen then?
Oh no!
So you've got all that kind of stuff, going on. But just the breadth of different voices.
Yeah.
And you've also got community radio, which is very big. The local community station that broadcasts to Brisbane, 4ZZZ, for example, has a transmitter that's 5 times more powerful than Capital FM here in London.
Sure.
So it does pretty well in terms of
when we do it, we do
reaching.
Big, mate.
Exactly right.
Yeah,
Well, it's a big
cool.
place to cover. So So it's a really good and interesting place to be.
Future's bright. Yes, is the
And the
answer.
future is
Yes,
bright.
the answer is yes. The future is very bright.
And the future is really bright. And I think, by the way, new technology, things like DAB, and I suspect that we'll see some interesting things in terms of DAB in Ireland.
Sure.
Things like HD radio in the States, things like podcasting, online radio, all of that kind of stuff actually means that the future is brilliant for people who are good at communicating.
And content. And
Good at
creating
telling
content.
stories,
Yeah,
good
love
at all of that. And actually, if you are a great radio producer, if you're a great radio storyteller, there's nothing to fear from the future.
I'm going to leave that right on a high. James Cridland, radio futurologist. What's your website?
James.crid.land.
There you go. All right, thank you, James.
Thank you.